Hello, and welcome to another episode of Beckett Now. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Aavish Kant.
So today's episode marks the second anniversary of George Floyd's death.
An incident which shook the world, broke hearts, opened eyes, and people simply said, enough is enough.
On May 25, 2020, George Floyd, a 46-year-old black man, was arrested by Minneapolis police after a convenience store employee called the 911 and told the police that Mr. Floyd had bought cigarettes with a counterfeit $20 bill. 17 minutes after the first police car arrived at the scene, Mr. Floyd was unconscious and pinned beneath 3 police officers, showing no signs of life.
Now, what shocked the world was the way he died. He had a knee pushed down against his neck for at least 8 minutes and 15 seconds. Now, this wasn't anything new. Black people have been killed by white officers before. 18-year-old Michael Brown and Eric Garner in 2014. Alton Sterling in 2016 and Stephen Clark in 2018. These are just a few examples. But this incident shook the world.
People were no longer standing on the outside looking in. They were on the inside looking out. All races came together. They protested. They stood as one. But how are we as a society 2 years on? Has much really changed? And what still needs to be changed?
It's something that we all need to remember. So I don't know what it takes in you to keep that fire going, but we need you guys to keep that fire going and keep it alive. Trust and believe there are organizations just like New York City Revolutionaries that are behind the scenes working on the days that we're not on the front lines, making sure that we're gonna have change when this is all over. I refuse to go back to how I used to live, and I refuse to see y'all all living that way too.
Now joining me, I have Abi, an international PR and communications consultant from Lagos, Nigeria. I also have Rebekah Mcfadden, our travel reporter from Tampa, Florida. Welcome you both.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So here we are, 2 years on. As you both are both from different parts of the world, it will be good to get an understanding into what was happening where you're from during the time George Floyd was murdered. So I'll take you first, Abi.
Yeah.
How was it? How was it in Nigeria when this George Floyd's murder came about?
So I remember, it was televised. It was live on the internet, and we were all just watching in awe. Right, we really couldn't believe our eyes. Right, we've heard of racism, but that felt new. It looked like a new thing, totally. So we were really just emotional and devastated. Right.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Talk to me, Rebekah. How was the reaction over in Florida?
Yeah, absolutely. I think nationwide there was definitely this increase in, protests and violence that came about. Something that I had not seen happen in America, quite frankly, in my lifetime. But yeah, just a lot of people protesting, taking to the streets, and really resorting to looting buildings and businesses, fires, and at one point we did have a curfew put in place in some cities.
And as Rebekah said, she had not seen something like this before. What do you think caused this? What was the weightage of the last words of Mr. Floyd? I can't breathe.
I mean, what really touched the world was the fact that a man is telling you, I can't breathe. I mean, it doesn't get that complicated. I can't breathe.
Yeah,
Get
exactly.
your legs off my neck, or, give me oxygen. I can't breathe. It's simple as that. It goes beyond racism at this point. It's more like, it's a question on humanity, right? Like, I can't breathe. It was his last words, and he just shook us all. Like, you could have avoided all of this. This man could be alive only if you're, just giving those words meaning. I can't breathe. Right.
Because at that point, it was not even a question of him saying, I did it or I didn't do it. I
Yeah.
can't breathe. So let me breathe so we can decide whether or not where we are and all that.
Silence me.
Yeah.
I think metaphorically, again, just this idea of like cutting off somebody's voice and even more so their voice, so like just their ability to live. And I think that's why the world responded in the
So
way
you
that
mean
they
it was
did.
the voice of the marginalized community as a whole?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So do you think there's a lot being done to tackle racism? I mean, look at us now. Time has passed. Where do you think we were and where do you think we are now?
I think objectively there have been things that have been put into place. I mean, give credit where it's due. There has been a lot that's come out, particularly recently. I know Biden has made some changes in the name and in recognition of the event that happened. I think we still have a long way to go, though.
And also, Abby, do you feel what is being done is enough, and what more needs to be done?
Well, I'm a black girl, right? I wouldn't say it's enough. I mean, it's awareness, and there's so much awareness can do, right? People are aware, and the reason why my neighbor who is white wouldn't be racist to me is mainly because, she probably doesn't want a social atlas. She doesn't want someone to call her racist. But if you check inward, there's a question of, are you racist or not, right? You see people with fake smiles just smiling there and, just let's go on with this. But there's a question of, are you really racist, or you just want this to, pass by?
And what are you doing it for?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As an individual, like,
Exactly.
or as a business, as a society, is it just because it's the right thing to do? I think.
Yeah.
Abby spoke of awareness. So, how do we bring about this awareness? How do we inspire the younger children to not be racist?
So you have to, go to the roots if you want to tackle these things, right? There's so much you can do for an 80-year-old man who is a racist. You can't help him, right? You can always just, tell him, don't be a racist. We're all one, but you can't really help him. But you can actually change those kids. You can put it in their educational system. You could, the same way, we're preaching sex education because we want them to actually know the right ways to go about, sex. The same way you could put this racist talks into it, right? Abolish racism, see everybody as one. So I feel like go into the educational system and introduce some things to them, and I feel like those are the ways that
I
you
definitely
can
agree with you, especially with the young children. I mean, when we talk about the LGBTQ issues and how the curriculum in schools have been updated to accommodate for the change in family values, I think we definitely can do something around ensuring that we bring in this collective mindset from while the kids are young. But interesting perspectives.
So they grow up and they're not racist. They grow up and see everybody as one. They grow up and they're not seeing two colors, but they're saying, oh, my fellow human being.
Yeah.
Exactly. You made some good points. But Rebekah, my question to you is, very recently in Buffalo, you must know that a white supremacist killed at least 8 black people from the black community at a supermarket. And it is said that he's inspired by a ideology called the replacement theory. What is the replacement theory, and why do you think it is problematic?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's really come up recently so much more just because of technology and the media, and that's just objectively true. And we see that the Great Replacement has been around for a while, unfortunately. But like I said, recently, in the name of this conspiracy theory, we have people that are committing outrageous acts, and it's very sad because you also see people on the media that are hinting at this. You have Tucker Carlson on Fox News. You have, I mean, let's talk about Donald Trump. What is Make America Great Again? Where does that come from, right? And you look at these types of theories that are now coming out. Okay, it's this white supremacist theory, and then you have this guy that went and shot up in the name of a theory and had literal word for word like quotes from these higher ups. And so these are the people that we're exposed to, that we're exposing young individuals to, that are being raised to just like consume this information on technology and on computer screens, and it's a big issue, I think.
Also, as a follow-up question to this, there's a raging gun problem in the US, and which is derived from the Second Amendment of the US Constitution, and that has been misused as a racist tool against the marginalized community, particularly the black community. What can be done about that Second Amendment? Can it be repealed, or can anything be done about that?
Yeah, I think outside of it just being used in terms of racist acts, I mean, I think people are going to do things in the name of the Great Replacement, or this evil is going to exist no matter what, unfortunately. And you look at what's happening in our country, and gun laws have just not been passed. To be honest, I think that a civil war would break out if you tried to take away somebody's rights. It's very, very difficult, and a lot of people, I don't think, know that it's very difficult to change an amendment. But at the end of the day, if everybody wanted change and if everyone was selfless enough to believe that that's what we needed, then it wouldn't be that hard. So.
Yeah.
I guess
Like
we
you
stay hopeful for change then.
Yeah.
exactly.
Thank you, Rebekah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Abby.
Thank you.
So some things have changed. The increase in black representation on screen is a positive example. Shows like Unapologetic have managed to get a voice. I mean, it's hosted by Yinka Bikini and Zizi Mills. And even companies are now embracing darker skin tones. There was a point where colorism played a big part in whether you were cast for a role or not. There were cases where the lighter you were, the more chance you got of being offered a leading role. For anyone who isn't aware of what colorism is, here's a quote from the BBC. It says, colorism is a form of racism which is usually seen when people are negative about people who have a darker skin tone. It also includes people that treat others with a lighter skin tone better.
The UK has launched its first independent national black civil rights organization in hopes to dismantle the patterns of systematic racism. This is a positive step towards breaking down those barriers and looking at equality for all.
Well, that's it from us today.
And this was a conversation that needed to happen, and I hope you'll all agree and reflect upon what needs to be done. Well, that's it from our side. Until then, be inspired,
Be educated,
and
be
be Beckett
Beckett
now.
now.